Around the year of 1981, Microsoft contacted Bruce Artwick of Sublogic, creator of FS1 Flight Simulator, to develop a new flight simulator for IBM-compatible PCs. This version was released in November 1982 as Microsoft Flight Simulator. It featured an improved graphics engine, variable weather and time of day, and a new coordinate system, used by all subsequent versions up to version 5. In May 1984, Microsoft released their version 2 for IBM PCs. This version made small improvements to the original version, including the graphics and a more precise simulation in general. It added joystick and mouse input, as well as support for RGB and composite monitors. The new simulator expanded the scenery coverage to include a model of the entire United States, although the airports were limited to the same areas as in Microsoft Flight Simulator 1. Microsoft Flight Simulator 3 improved the flight experience by adding additional aircraft and airports to the simulated area found in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2, as well as improved high-res graphics. The three simulated aircraft were the Gates Learjet 25, Cessna Skylane, and Sopwith Camel. Flight Simulator 3 also allowed the user to customize the display. Multiple windows, each displaying one of several views, could be positioned and sized on the screen. The supported views included the instrument and control panel, a map view, and various external camera angles. Microsoft Flight Simulator 4 is a game in which the ability to make adjustments to flight characteristics was added, as well as the ability to design new experimental aircraft. It also included improved aircraft models, random weather patterns, a new sailplane, and dynamic scenery. The Aircraft Adventure Factory was a Windows-based program allowing custom-designed aircraft shapes to be used within Microsoft Flight Simulator 4, utilizing a CAD-type interface, supported by various submenu and listing options. Flight Simulator 5 is the first version of the series to use textures. This allowed the game to achieve a much higher degree of realism than the previous flat-shaded simulators. This also made all add-on scenery and aircraft for the previous versions obsolete, as they would look out of place. More noticeable improvements included the use of digital audio for sound effects, custom cockpits for each aircraft. Previous versions had one cockpit that was slightly modified to fit various aircraft, and better graphics. It took about a year for add-on developers to get to grips with the new engine. But when they did, they were not only able to release scenery, but also tools like Flight Shop that made it feasible for users to design new objects. In 1995, Flight Simulator 5.1 was introduced, adding the ability to handle scenery libraries including wide use of satellite imagery, faster performance, and a barrage of weather effects. Storms, 3D clouds, and fog became true-to-life elements in the Flight Simulator world. This edition was also the first version that was released on CD-ROM and the last for DOS. This was released in June 1995. Flight Simulator 98 is generally regarded as a service release, offering minor improvements, with a few notable exceptions. The simulator now also featured a helicopter, the Bell 206B3 Jet Ranger, as well as a generally improved interface for adding additional aircraft, sceneries, and sounds. Other new, out-of-the-box aircraft included a revised Cessna 182 with a photorealistic instrument panel and updated flight model. The primary rationale for updating the 1882 was Cessna's return to manufacturing that model in the late 1990s. The Learjet Model 45 business jet was also included, replacing the aging Learjet 35 from earlier versions. Flight Simulator 2000 was released as a major improvement over the previous versions and was also offered in two versions. One version for normal users and one pro version with additional aircraft. Although many users had high expectations when this version arrived, many were disappointed when they found out that the simulator demanded high-end hardware. This version also introduced 3D elevation, making it possible to adjust the elevation for the scenery grids. A GPS was also added, enabling an even more realistic operation of the simulator. An often overlooked but highly significant milestone in Flight Simulator 2000 was the addition of over 17,000 new airports, for a total exceeding 20,000 worldwide, as well as worldwide navigational aid coverage. This greatly expanded the utility of the product in simulating long international flights, as well as instrument-based flight, relying on radio navigation aids. Flight Simulator 2002 improved vastly over previous versions. In addition to improved graphics, the game introduced air traffic control and artificial intelligence aircraft, enabling users to fly alongside computer-controlled aircraft and communicate with airports. An option for a target frame rate was added, enabling a cap on the frame rate to reduce stutter while performing texture loading and other maintenance tasks. In addition, aircraft feature a 3D virtual cockpit, creating in effect a view of the cockpit from the viewpoint of a real pilot. The external view also featured an inertia effect, inducing an illusion of movement in a realistic physical environment. Flight Simulator 2004 was shipped with several historical aircraft, such as the Wright Flyer, Ford Trimotor, and the Douglas DC-3, to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Wright brothers' first flight. The program included an improved weather engine that provided true three-dimensional clouds and true localized weather conditions for the first time. The engine also allowed users to download weather information from actual weather stations, allowing the simulator to synchronize the weather with the real world. Microsoft Flight Simulator X is the sequel to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2004 and the 10th installment of the Microsoft Flight Simulator series, which was first released in 1982. It is built on an upgraded graphics rendering engine, showcasing DirectX 10 features in Windows Vista, and was marketed by Microsoft as the most important technological milestone in the series at the time. The inclusion of missions adds a new facet to the simulation, adding task-oriented goals and encouraging users to fly worldwide, rather than just from their home field. Although a similar concept was available in previous versions, the new implementation of multipath and event-oriented situations substantially extends the potential for user interaction. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, within PC as well as Xbox Series X and Series S, received universal acclaim from video game critics, according to Metacritic. Within the site, the game is rated the third best PC game of 2020. Reviewers considered the graphics and realism of Flight Simulator as the reason it stands out. Flight Simulator's weather has been noted for incorporating real-time data of notable weather abnormalities. During the 2020 Western United States fires, players discovered that smoke from the wildfires had been incorporated into the game's weather model and was visible to players. Announced at the 2023 Xbox Games Showcase on June 11, 2023. It includes a career mode with missions such as agricultural flight and firefighting. It is being run using Asobo's in-house engine. New mission types include aerial firefighting, air search and rescue, helicopter cargo hook transport, air ambulance, crop dusting, mountain rescue, skydiving, commercial aviation, aerial crane construction, outsize cargo transport with the Airbus Beluga, Arctic cargo transport with the Airbus A404M, VIP air charter and executive transport, air racing, weather reconnaissance, experimental aircraft testing, and nap of the Earth flight with the A-10 Warthog.